Thank you, my love.
It's always my joy.
Good news, America. Today, the DOJ unveils a modern marvel in cutting-edge information engineering. Why, it's the Epstein-O-matic. That's right. A machine that helps our leaders obfuscate, prevaricate, and equivocate, all while feigning transparency in the process. First, the Epstein-O-matic begins with our patented immediate desk delivery system. Why, any moron can use it. Simply place any file in this tube duct and watch as it is whisked away, landing directly on the desk of the Attorney General. Next, the high-precision vacuum suck confirms that those pages were never on her desk in the first place, and does swift work sucking them back into the ether, along with just about everything. Now, should an alternate narrative materialize, say from a concerned insider, someone with a dog in the hunt, maybe a dog that hasn't barked, our override module drops surprise directives directly into the system. The Epstein-O-matic runs on a simple promise. If you want documents, you'll have them. If you don't, you won't. Of course, no modern investigation is complete without our sleek automatic redaction wheel. Each page passes through a series of whirling ink rollers, transforming sensitive names and details into much more legible thick black bars. And if it misses one, have no fear. Quality assurance is the name of the game. Nothing will get by our crack team. And for those all-important public updates, simply approach the Statement Selector button panel. With a single push, officials may choose from a variety of pre-approved announcements, all equally satisfying.
I have no problem releasing the Epstein files if that's what the Senate wants to do, and I didn't tell them what to do, but they should, or else.
Our prepared statements are audience-tested on some of the most willingly gullible imbeciles around.
I said we should release all the files, but the Senate says we can't. You should be talking to them, not me.
And if for some reason the files are at risk of full release, worry not. The emergency kill switch provides a small detonation that will cease all future inquiries. The files are gone again. Yes, America, the Epstein-O-matic represents the very best of American innovation. A device capable of lying, gaslighting, distracting, and unlying, which is just lying backwards. Why, it's the perfect fusion of technology and tradition. The Epstein-O-matic, the machine behind the man.
I really hate that sad loser, Mr. Newberger.
Who, me?
What are you thinking, my dear? What are you thinking?
God, that's funny. Obfuscate, prevaricate. What was the other word?
Those were fancy words, weren't they?
Yes, they were, but very appropriate. Lying, gaslighting. But what really got me was vacuum suck.
Yes, those are the ones you get on your SATs, right? When you have to take your SATs.
Oh my God, I remember those days.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you do. Yes, those were nightmare. No, those were nightmare days, right? And we felt like such failures because we didn't do well in math. I mean, it's what a bizarre world.
That was exactly my case. You know, I had like straight A's all my other classes. All my math classes were like sometimes D's, C's. I just never had a head for mathematics.
Well, you were an actor. You're
An artist.
I know you're very good with words. I mean, I've seen the way you present, and so you know, actors they tend to be language focused more than math focused.
Well, I think artists in general, you know, artists in general, we tend to be more right brain oriented. Mathematics tends to be more left brain oriented.
Well, there you go. So how was your weekend? How was your weekend?
How was my weekend? Well, pretty good. We've been getting deluged here in Los Angeles.
I heard about that.
Lots of rain. Last night I did something fun. You know my friend Anastasia. It was her birthday, so we went to a theater in Eagle Rock, which is near Pasadena, to see a revival screening of Amadeus.
Oh, how
And before
lovely.
the movie, they had a masquerade party in the lobby. So that's what I did last night. I had my little masquerade mask on. And remember during the pandemic days when we would try to use the face approval thing on our face recognition on our phones, and we'd have
Mhm.
masks on, it wouldn't work. Well, I quickly discovered it doesn't work when you're wearing a masquerade mask either.
Probably not. Well, I know we all want to wish Anastasia a very happy belated birthday. And
Yeah. Oh, I'll be sure to
yeah.
forward that on to her. She'll appreciate it.
And of course, we have a brand new book in the works. As many of you
Mhm.
know, we do have a Book of the Month club. We're very excited. We're very proud of our Book of the Month club as it marches towards its 3rd year. We have promoted dozens and dozens of books, and we help sell books of independent writers. So
I
if
love
you're an
that.
independent, yeah, we really feel strongly about this, Chuck and I. So if you are an independent writer and you're trying to get seen or known, think about sending a copy of your book to us, care of Dr. Whimsy Anderson,
Mhm.
1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. And maybe your book will be selected for our Book of the Month club. And of course, we have already selected our book for the month of November, and it is the amazing Dreams Need Feet to Walk On. And of course, that is backwards on my side, so I'll have to fix that. But
It's backwards on my side. And
oh,
on my
really?
side, your book is perfect.
Oh, really? I see the opposite.
Yeah, and I see the opposite from my end. That's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, as long as
There
we're
we-
getting the message across
There
here.
we go. Now both are fixed. Now what
There.
does it look like?
Well, now mine's backwards.
What?
Well, just from my end. I'm not saying that people out there are seeing it
Hold on
that
a
way. That's how I'm
second.
seeing it.
What
But
am I
think
doing here? Camera. The mirror is off.
it's Mercury retrograde.
The mirror is off.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should be able to see both of us. Dreams Need Feet to Walk On. Marion Haley Moss is our book of the month for the book selection for November. You won't want to miss it. It is her experiences in Hollywood. She continues to be a character actor. She has been in some amazing films and TV. She's worked alongside Alan Alda and some amazing actors. And gosh, boy, she's going to have some Hollywood stories to tell.
Oh, I'm going to have plenty to talk about with her. I'm looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I selected this book, I thought of you because
Thank
you
you.
and she have so much in common.
That's so sweet of you, Whimsy. Thank you. I just love doing these interviews anyway. And every month the book is a treat. You choose very well. But the last show, I couldn't find my book. I turned to the side. Oh, where's it? Where's it? That's so embarrassing when you're on live. So I made a point of having it today.
Yeah, I'm sure it was well, I know you carried around, you read it and
I do.
So Chuck, tell us who's with us today. You
Well,
want to
let
shout out
me
to our audience?
see here. Let me just scroll to
To see
the
everyone.
top here, and we're going to say hi to all of our wonderful people. Hello, Brenda Rakestraw, Daniel Alexander Jensen, Rose Blue, Anthony Rizzo, the barber, Dharma Songbird, and of course our Joel Tilson, our fabulous floor director. So I have some paint on my glasses. You can tell I'm an artist. I splattered on myself.
Yeah, you're gonna have to click.
And it's red paint.
Mr. Rizzo is the one that helped select my haircut. The haircut I have.
Well, I was just complimenting you before the show. I think your new haircut looks fabulous.
Yeah, he picked it. Mr. Rizzo picked it out, and then I gave it to my hairdresser, and my hairdresser made it happen.
Well,
it's a nice way. Look at that weave on the side. Isn't that great?
Yeah. No, it's layered very nicely.
I love that layering to push, and it opens up my face a little bit, which is nice.
Well,
yeah,
such a nice face to open up, Whimsy. No, it's beautiful on you.
Thank you.
Van Dillen, I hope I said that right, or is it Vandylan or Van Dillen? Please forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly. Contessa E. Jordan, Rockin' Pony Lady, Clarence Fields, Contessa E. Jordan, Gigi Pardo Lord, Michelle Lynn, Intuitive Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Oh, this is a great name, Doogie Dimensional.
Hi, Doogie.
Yeah. Let me scroll through here. And 5808. Let's see, Debbie M. and Dylan. Let's see, Clarence Fields, Michelle Lynn, Renee,
Wow.
Alex, Wendy Birch, your fabulous hat designer.
Hi, Wendy. Always great
Terry
to see you
Gallant,
here.
Rose Blue, Shizzle.
Shizzle, that's very funny. That's Yiddish for.
Is it?
Yeah. Listen, Chuck.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We'll continue to say
thank
hi.
you.
as
We
go
really
along.
appreciate you being here.
I don't want you to be all, moving on here. We
Moving
will
on.
continue to say hi. Yeah. We know you're there. We love you, and we're so grateful you're here. But let's move on. So, Chucky Poo, are we ready to talk about this? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about what's going on? What are you thinking about the fact that the Senate has now unanimously agreed to send Epstein?
I saw that it was unanimous in the Senate, and in the House, it was almost unanimous. I think there was only one dissenter, and I forget which representative was responsible for that, but he said something to the effect that he felt that releasing the files was going to maybe harm people who innocent victims named in the files. It was some excuse like that. But anyway, it was definitely passed. And of course, this was supposedly at the insistence of Donald Trump, who did a complete turnaround, which has people bewildered. But one thing we know about Mr. Trump, it's something to serve himself, and I think maybe it was even face saving. Some have theorized that perhaps, he wasn't going to be able to do anything to stop this. So he might as well just say, well, okay, I give my blessing. I want you to release it. But there's also some others saying other things like, the fact that Trump has already called for investigations of certain Democrats in the Epstein files, and Pam Bondi has already started the investigation. So it's been said that if there's any open investigation, any documents pertaining to that investigation cannot be released. So I'm even wondering if there was a little strategy in that from Trump. Do you have theories, Whimsy, or feelings?
Contessa does. What's Contessa got to say here?
Okay, Contessa, it says, there is a word on the street that the files have been scrubbed. All Republicans have been scrubbed. So there is that. I have seen some theories to that.
If the FBI is the one guarding the door while these people are being raped, if the person guarding the door and saying, go for it, I'm covering for you, if that is the FBI, if our own intelligence agencies struck a deal with collaborators, then they can never betray that oath to the people. Look, the FBI makes deals with terrible people all the time. That's why you have witness protection. And what the FBI will say is that we do deals with horrible, horrible criminals all the time in order to get the big fish, right?
Right.
So who was the big fish? If that's true in the case, okay, say we buy that, and the reason you don't want to release these names is because they are basically in a witness protection situation now, because we don't want to release our methods. No, you don't want to release the names of co-conspirators who, under a non-prosecutory agreement that was made with the feds, you would protect all the people that abused those children. And only one person was prosecuted, and that was Maxwell. And that is the thing that the FBI will continue to protect, which is why I said that I didn't think anything was going to come of this. And the reason why all the senators passed is because they want to be reelected. And so,
of course they do.
They had to go back to Trump and say, if anybody votes no, they could face problems with reelection. So we're going to do it this way. And everybody can say, well, I voted to release it. I'm good. I didn't do nothing wrong, knowing full well that it will never be released under the guise of protecting FBI means and informants, which basically is, that's why I said nothing's going to come of this.
Yeah. Well, I was saying this to you before the show. Several months ago, I had this image of the files. Like we see these documents released by the FBI like for Martin Luther King, the Kennedy assassination, where you'll see whole sentences blacked out with a magic marker, black marker.
Right.
I had this image of the Epstein files being released publicly, but lines like that being blacked out, heavily censored, like much like Nixon and the Watergate transcripts, if you recall, about how they were heavily censored when they were released to the public. You know, I just have a feeling they're going to do everything they can to hide things in there as long as they can and as much as they can.
Right, and delay the Mueller report, then shut the Mueller report. Okay, now you're all shutting it down. We're not paying for this. Shut the Mueller report down. We won Congress. We have the power. Shut this down. You're all going home. Nothing to see here. Black out everything. Release it. Size it up. Hit the press early and tell your constituents there's nothing to see here. And then they will never bother to ream through pages and pages and pages of the Mueller report, seeing all the blacked out pages. And it came to nothing. And he still wound up creating terror on January 6th. And he still wound up being reelected because the people guarding the door are our intelligence agencies. And they will continue to protect him because at this point, they're implicated.
Yeah. I mean, I so want to be wrong about that vision, but that's what I'm still sensing. I mean, the fact that Trump cooperated, we can't trust anything. We can't. You know, this was too easy. This was almost too easy, the way this got near unanimous votes in the House and the Senate like this, and how it's going to Trump's desk to be signed. Because even if Trump does sign this, it's my understanding that Trump even has the power to suggest changes before he puts his signature on it. Because I was reading today that if the Senate had done this, it would have automatically had to have gone back to the House to be approved all over again. So I'm wondering now, if Trump were to do that, that they would have to start over again. And you've been getting these images yourself of how this is just going to be held up and held up and held up.
I just think there's no way the FBI is going to give us a list of their informants that are basically in a witness protection situation right now.
Right.
All those people that did, there's no way you get a sweetheart deal from the FBI and then the FBI turns. Even if there are people in the FBI that want the names to come out, because if you do that, you're sending a signal to every criminal out there that if you come to us and we guarantee you safety as an informant, non-prosecutory agreement in order to fink on the mob boss. In the case of Gotti, for example, there were hired killers that chopped people's fingers off. They murdered people. They had people that were testifying against Gotti, where the guy, the main killer, he married the daughter of the guy he killed. This is how violent. It was either the daughter or the wife.
God,
and then they asked her, "How could you marry this guy?" She's like, "Hey, you didn't grow up like me. You didn't grow up in the mob. That's life. You know, this is how it is." Those are the types of people. And then he moved where? Where'd the guy go? Some town in Florida or something? But he came out and basically said that he was an awful, terrible person. So the FBI is not protecting good people.
No. I know that. I read a really good biography of J. Edgar Hoover a few years ago that went into a lot of this. This goes back to the 1930s. It's old news for the FBI.
Yeah. So my question is, why would we assume that they would ever release the names of the people who are under a sweetheart deal? Because it'll never happen. And then my next question is to the FBI. I'd like the FBI to go before Congress and answer a few questions. If they had a sweetheart deal, then I assume the target person that you were going after was much more important. So who exactly was that person? Because Epstein evidently had a sweetheart deal too, so he couldn't be prosecuted. So why don't you go ahead and tell us dumb Americans, us civilians, just who the main fish was that you were going after in that investigation, since everybody seems to have gotten off.
I don't know.
Okay, he's witness protection, Trump's witness protection, Dershowitz's, protection, Andrew protected. Tony
know,
Blair.
yeah,
Tell me who
obviously,
the big fish was. I just want to know who was the big. If these are the guys that we, from what we can figure out, that are protected, then pray tell, who are you going after?
yeah, I'm just thinking there have to be more copies of these files all over the world. Even King Charles, to do what he did with Andrew. King Charles undoubtedly read all of this. There are people around the world, and I'm wondering if they're going to come out in other forms.
Well, one woman had said, we don't need to have the names released. We don't need to have the names released because we know who those men were. So great.
Yeah.
Why can't you release the name? Because it means what? It means that we will need to be under FBI protection from the people that you're protecting.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we going back to? Go back to the original thing I said. Who's watching the door so that these men could have their fun?
Yeah.
Putting little kids, they had little kids in Grecian costumes.
Oh, God.
In one of the parties. It was a costume thing. So they had like vestal virgin 12-year-olds walking around and that was the theme of the orgy. So you go to this thing where there's these kids in costumes that you're abusing. And this is not the first costume party where this has happened. I mean, you look at other victims who have been sort of this thing, these big elaborate parties, whether it was at Diddy's house, where he had all these foster kids that had a claim to have been abused.
Yeah.
I just want to know who was the big fish, because I don't see was the big fish Andrew? Andrew wasn't prosecuted. Was it Tony Blair? Was it Ehud Barak? I mean, like,
all powerful names.
Who are we going after? Well, they're all the people whose names were protected, right? So Trump was protected.
Yes. Yeah. No, every name you've mentioned is a viable possibility. All extremely powerful.
When we talk about the names coming out and the protection, we're talking very specifically here about people that were spoken to by U.S. Federal marshals, by the feds, and signed what was known as a non-prosecutory agreement. Mm-hmm. So that is what we're talking about, Contessa. We're talking about those people who did get basically witness protection. They had a non-prosecutory agreement. And one of those people was Epstein. Mm-hmm. But not Ghislaine, which is why Ghislaine went to prison, because she was not, excuse me, she wasn't under protection.
Mm-hmm. And even Ghislaine right now, there are reports that she's being treated like she's in a spa more so than a prison. She's getting all these perks and privileges. Everything's being done to keep her, shall we say, comfortable right now.
The point is that, hold on, somebody said something and I want to comment. It isn't somebody higher. That's the point, Em. There isn't any big fish they're going after. This wasn't an investigation like the Gotti investigation where 40 families went down. 40 families went down? 40 families.
40 families
went down, yeah. So the big fish was Gotti, but they had to take down the entire operation. So that's not this. There was no federal investigation to take down Epstein and what Epstein was doing. The purpose of the non-prosecutory agreement was to do nothing other than to protect the perpetrators because they were important people. That's the point. Yeah. And maybe to share intelligence.
Yeah. Hey, this is all so disgusting, so sad. I mean, I know that's a naive thing to say, but it's just very disheartening to me personally. I know to many of us.
Yeah.
Did you see, it's making the rounds on the internet right now, but it's an old picture of Donald Trump from, I guess, the 1980s. And he's wearing a bathrobe and he's on a bed. And somebody pointed out that the bed sheets were strawberry shortcake bed sheets. Little girl bed sheets.
Where was the bed? Whose bed? Was
Well,
it
I
his
don't know.
daughter's bedroom? Was it his daughter's bedroom?
I don't know. It's just a picture. It's floating around the internet where Trump's in a white bathrobe. He's got a sleazy look on his face, and he's there sprawled out on the bed. And I had never noticed this, but somebody said, "Hey, take a close look at the pattern. Those sheets, strawberry shortcake, little girl sheets." So I don't
Sounds
think
like his
the photos.
daughter. What was his daughter's age when the picture was taken?
Well, that's a good
My
point.
head would go.
That's a good point. I'm just saying that as an observation. That picture's been pointed out, but there could be viable excuses. Like you said, it could be his daughter's bedroom. But then the way he's just spread out on the bed, it just looks tawdry.
Yeah, it might have been a joke. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, might have been a joke, and he was just in that room, and then he
that's a
decided to
possibility.
pose and do something silly, and it was just his kid's room.
Possibly.
I mean, who knows? I mean, anything's possible with this crowd.
Exactly.
All right. I think what we should do next. I'm sorry, Chuck. Did you have something
Oh
to
no,
say?
no.
Before we
No.
do our prayer. I think right now we should bring in the empath prayer. I think we could really use it.
Okay, let's do it.
And if people want to be included in the prayer today, if you want to receive a healing, we can pray for you as a community. We will pray for you or someone you love who's needing a healing today. Just go ahead, give us our name or the name of that person, and we will include you in our prayer today. All right.
Okay.
Are we ready, darling?
Yes, just getting my cards out here and everything.
Let's bring in some good vibes.
Let's do that.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. And for those of you who are receiving a healing today, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed.
May all souls.
May all souls be healed. All right. So Mark Epstein was interviewed on Como's podcast. And he said someone was with very good connections told him the files were being scrubbed.
Again, that just would not surprise me one bit. Going back to my own image of the files with black magic marker crossing things out, or they may not even be that obvious. They may just flat out remove things. I think I saw in one of the comments that the Senate is delaying a vote until after Thanksgiving. And I don't know if it pertained to this or what, because I know it was approved today. So I don't know what that was about, but I wish I could find that comment. I don't know if you saw it, Whimsy, but I'm wondering if already a tactic is being employed to slow things down before it gets to Trump's desk, so they can just do this, have a team of people scouring through all of this.
But see, I just keep going back to FBI policy. FBI's policy is not to give over the names of people that have cooperated in an ongoing criminal investigation. But the point I'm making is there was no criminal investigation.
Right.
So they've got egg on their face.
Mm-hmm.
There's no mafia breakthrough. Yeah, they were looking at the crimes that were committed by Epstein: money laundering, tax evasion, pedophilia, rape, kidnapping, trafficking. So why wasn't anyone arrested and charged? Where's the investigation?
It's so disgusting, all of these people in power who just make their own rules. It's ironic. The beginning of the year, we were talking about Diddy, talking about Hollywood, power players who make their own rules like they're above the law. And of course, this is a far worse example of it. If you're powerful enough, rich enough, the message is you can get away with anything.
Let's take a look at what's going to happen with the release of the Epstein files.
Okay.
If you haven't had a chance to like, share, and subscribe, I know Chuck and I would be really appreciative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not liking what I'm getting here. I'm not liking what I'm getting. It's kind of discouraging.
You want to tell us what you're getting?
Well, first card that jumped out was devotion. And devotion, I take that to mean a lot of like inner loyalty, people get with each other's backs, covering for each other. That's why I take from the devotion card there. People obviously fighting for their very survival here, their careers, their lives, their political careers, their priorities first, priorities. And this is where I get deceit, shame, denial, and ultimately deprivation. I take from deprivation like a lot is going to be held back. That's why you heard me.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you hear me when I'm looking at the cards, I'm just seeing this myself and I'm experiencing, if you hear me like, oh, or something, it's my own disappointment here. Like I'd like a better reading than that.
Yeah, somebody got upset by Trump's, we do vocals because when we see stuff, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I feel that they're going to try and redact and suppress names, but the audience is not going to buy it because here is my card chart. I did a blitz. Look at this card chart. It's horrible for Trump. It is horrible for Trump. First off, there's a major transformation happening. That was with the desire to release. So you have this major transformation begins to move very quickly. So the chariot, boom, 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 boom. But I know the code at the FBI, which is we will never release those names, because if we release our informants' names, we'll never be able to get the trust of an informant ever again. We build relationships with people for 5 years that are informants in corrupt businesses, mafia, etc. So we know it's sacrosanct. We will never release those names. However, I do believe that somebody is going to leak it, because I'll tell you why. Because hopes and fears is in the Defense Department for with the Seven of Wands. This is Seven of Wands. That is the fighting. Show us the files. Look at all those wands coming out, and the guy is trying to hold back. That is not good. And then the final outcome: the weapons of war will be taken away. Give me that sword. Which means
take your toys away.
I don't think that they can. I don't think, Chuck, with this juxtaposition. I mean, I can do a clarification.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Trump is finished. Look at this.
Yeah.
Walking away from everything. What is he going to do? Just wander off like an old man, mumbling to himself to the golf course? Then regarding, there it is. Chariot over the Trump. There's Trump.
Yeah.
The president. And then over the issue of having to defend his territory. Nine of Pentacles, losing confidence. Final outcome is the people's power. I'm telling you, they're going to be so relieved when it gets leaked, because it's almost like they're afraid to leak it. But if somebody else leaks it, so the pressure is taken off of me and Congress. Like, well, I voted to release it, and then it was leaked through the New York Times. They got I had nothing to do with this. Thank God I had nothing to do with this. Like, thank God I don't have to vote on this. Thank God my ass isn't on the line. Thank God I'm not going to have to come back to Thanksgiving dinner with constituents screaming at me, burning me in effigy. None of that's going to happen now, because they were allowed to vote yes, and they were allowed to vote yes, because they were assured there's no damn way the FBI would ever release those names.
Exactly.
But the final outcome is not good at all for them, because Five of Swords is when we're done playing here. You take the sword away, get the hell out of here. So I'm telling you, this will be taken away from them. They're trying to do like they did with the Mueller report, which is just delay. Nothing to see here. It just kind of falls apart. Ho-hum. But I don't think they can do that this time.
No, I don't think so. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were doing your reading, but I just had a couple of comments came to mind. I think the public is much too savvy. The public has been lied to and lied to and lied to where we don't trust a thing out of this government. We don't trust a thing out of Trump's mouth right now. So there's going to be automatic suspicion. And I do believe in the power of the people, as you just said. And I think it also ties in with what we're saying when we talk about Trump being finished by the end of this year. I still think he's going to use his health as a graceful little way to walk out. I told you I get this sense that we're going to start seeing more medical reports being released about his failing health and how out of duty to his country he's going to have to regretfully resign the office of the presidency for the higher good. All that BS. That's what I think Trump's going to do. I think that will be his escape hatch.
Yeah, I think that Lindsey Graham is kind of preparing for the speech. I guess he was with him over the weekend, so it's kind of like.
Oh, really? I didn't know Lindsey was with him over the weekend.
With him over the weekend, yes. All right, let's see how Trump is reacting. Releasing of the Epstein files. Let's take a look, folks.
Because I have two questions about that. First, before we begin, do you mean the release of the files if they have been successfully scrubbed, or his reaction if stuff still comes out about him?
Let's just see. Let's just see how this plays itself out. We'll probably know from the cards where Trump's headed. I think he's headed out. I don't think he can stop this.
I think so too. But let me see if I get anything here.
Okay. Oh my God.
I'm
having fun.
Let's see. I'm still trying to interpret mine here.
Can I go first? You want me to go first?
Well, I have a feeling your reading is going to be much better than mine. So maybe I should go first here, because I was asking about Trump. And first of all, I got the obvious shame, his survival. There's going to be suffering. But my last card, this is what I was trying to determine. I think this is more for the American people, because I got gifts. And I think this is for the American people and not
Christmas early. It's Christmas early.
Is that what you think, Whimsy? Also, it's almost like early Christmas.
Yes.
This means the American people. We're going to get gifts. But Trump, on the other hand, is like, shall we say, in the outhouse right now. But you go ahead, Whimsy. That's what I got.
Well, his karma. It's his karma.
I would not want his karma.
His house of opposition. Sorry, I've got my table over here. His house of opposition. Look at that. 5 of Pentacles. The man out in the cold begging, let me in. Let me into the church. I'm freezing. Poverty. Hopes and fears. He fears Mike Johnson.
Fears Mike Johnson. Interesting.
I don't think that. Honestly, he has no confidence in Johnson. Like, can you handle this? Oh, I can handle Congress. I can handle this. I can bury this. Are you sure you can handle this? Oh, I can. I don't think you can handle this.
No.
This is Johnson. And here's the thing that had me going, oh my God, that which is hidden will be revealed, the high priest. Like the hidden reveal. Yes. So that's the final outcome. She reveals that which is hidden, right? So she comes, the moon is at night, the hidden gifts, psychic phenomena. I got to do a clarification on this. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Oh, a karma of the FBI. The FBI won't be able to protect him. This is the FBI.
Wow.
So somebody in the FBI, the FBI is so terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was no investigation to get a big pin. You can't use that as we don't want to show you arm. You were protecting a bunch of old perverts. Maybe you were collecting some data or some information on Britain. You were spying on Britain. You were spying on Israel. You were spying on France. You were spying on, people. Of course, what a lot of people are doing is using this to target their anti-Semitism. Well, let's go after the Jews, right? Let's go blame Israel. Really? Because I heard that there were Saudis, there were people from United Arab Emirates, there were Israelis, there were French, there were British members of MI6, there were members of the Church of England. Andrew, his brother, is the head of the church. So a lot of the Church of England.
Yeah, I knew that. I just hadn't thought of that before.
King is the head of the church.
Yes.
So my point is this. A lot of powerful people obviously like this sort of thing, which is what is her name? Annika, the woman who wrote the book. She took down the Belgian German pedophile rings. She was an informant with Interpol. Annika, she's very famous. But she named several names. Trudeau was one of her abusers. Pierre Trudeau was one of her abusers. Really? David Rockefeller was one of her abusers. Yeah. So she was able to give names when she testified with Interpol. So the takeaway is that people in positions of power that are part of these elite groups, they're like Satanists. The rest of us, they gain power by killing us, sacrificing us, drinking our blood, raping kids. The fundamental belief, Annika, that's her name, Annika. The fundamental belief of these people is that I am a god. I don't have to answer to, I am my God.
Oh my God. You know what? It's, I didn't want to interrupt you while you're talking, but I was thinking back to that message I had from Eleanor Roosevelt like a month or so ago, where she was talking about the very nature of, she was referring to dictators. She said the very nature of a dictator is you feel you are superior to all others. And she said, nobody is superior to others, and the universe will never support that. And that's why dictators get brought down. What you just said about other people thinking they're superior, like they're a god, I don't think that's going to be supported by the universe either. It's like these people eventually are going to get taken down, I feel, based on that. It can't be sustained. And maybe that's what this is all about right now. We're seeing the starting.
But this is the point that I think Annika Lucas is trying to make. I think Quest for Love is the name of her book. Was that she wanted people to know that this is a ring of people, that is their religious belief. They believe that they answer to no one. Yeah. That they are ultimately God.
Yeah, they believe they're superior to all.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what Hannah Arendt said about the Holocaust. Was that, Anatomy of Evil? It was this idea that in Anatomy of Evil, they were able to kill people by first making them pigs. They weren't people anymore. Yes, Schweinhund, right? They called them dogs and pigs. When you start referring to your fellow human being as something other than being a human being, that's the beginning of the end.
May I just interject quickly? Trump called a woman reporter Piggy the other day when she asked him about the Epstein files, called her Piggy. So that's rather interesting. You just said that.
Right. So yeah, and that is the thing that I'll show you some of this.
When you're an adult, you're dissociated, so you don't remember most of it, or nothing. It just comes back little by little. It's a very long and arduous process, and it requires tremendous courage to begin to open up to the possibility, because the first thing that comes, when I had the first flashback of this, I was like, no. First of all, I thought, if that's true, I'm going to kill myself, which was also programmed into me. But I struggled so hard with this is not true. This is not who I am. I have an idea of myself. Okay, it doesn't work very well, this identification as me in this family, and things aren't really adding up. And at the same time, I never want this to be true. When you're an adult, you're dissociated, so you don't really
Yeah, so her parents basically
Yeah.
sold her to this pedophile ring, and she talks extensively about what happened. But one of her handlers was David Rockefeller, unfortunately.
Oh,
But it was basically, she said, a bunch of dirty old men, aristocrats from Belgium and Germany, people with a lot of money. And she would go to these castles, to these parties, and they would dress her up, like a Grecian gown. She'd be a little 10-year-old and service this person, service that person. It was part of the whole performance at the party. It was eyes wide shut, but there would be kids there. There would be all kinds of crazy things. And the purpose of the party was, we are gods. We do whatever the hell we like. If you want to do it, you go and do it. No, we don't answer to anyone.
makes me wonder what kind of deficit a person has in their soul and in their heart to treat other people like that, to do that to children.
Well, this is the thing that came up also about Andrew, Prince Andrew, bodyguard. Did you hear what the bodyguards were forced to make his bed, and when they made his bed, they had to do it in a way where he had 72 teddy bears.
Oh,
And if any of the teddy bears were out of sync, then he would begin screaming hysterically because his teddy
like a
bears.
spoiled little toddler.
Well, that's the whole thing. Why grow up? And, you and I, we go through normal development, right?
Mhm.
Mom said no. But if you grow up like this, there is no. You can have sex with whoever you like. Divine right of kings, right? Let's take a look a little bit about that. Kind of annoying. Yes.
Sure.
Mad when the teddy bears were not placed in their right order. That is somebody who he has been allowed. Oops, hold on. It's talking here. But that's an example of somebody who just never, the psychological problems they have is because they've been told they were special their whole life.
First,
Here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at this one. Got to get past that commercial here.
I think it was 2001. From the way she was allowed to enter and exit the palace at will, we suspected that she might have had an intimate relationship with Prince Andrew. A colleague of mine remembered her coming in 4 times in one day, from the morning till the evening. She kept coming in and out, in and out. It had about 50 or 60 stuffed toys positioned on the bed. And basically, there was a card the inspector showed us in a drawer, and it's a picture of these bears all in situ on the bed. And the reason for the laminated picture was that if those bears weren't put back in the right order by the maids, he would shout and scream and become verbally abusive.
Okay, so what does that tell you? The other thing is that when you're a child, can you have an adult relationship? Or are you attracted to other children?
So hard to say. So hard to say. I mean,
Wow.
There's only a select number of people who were raised the way Andrew was raised. The closest thing I can compare it to is out here in LA. I used to, in our store, I used to have to deal with children of celebrities, trust fund babies, people who were basically raised by the maid and the butler and the chauffeur, and they were never disciplined. And so they became these incorrigible, spoiled young adults. I don't know if you encountered them. I used to encounter them all the time. That's the only example I can think of, but that's making me think of the royal family. As you said, they were raised right from infancy to be they were told they were special, they were royal, your mother's the queen, so yeah, and they were probably raised more by servants also, who just did whatever they were told.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dangerous combination. And, this is actually a thought that just popped in my head. I think M brought this up. Joel's bringing up, did Queen Elizabeth know about Prince Andrew's sickness? Because I was sitting here thinking the same thing. How much did Queen Elizabeth know all along, all these years? I know that supposedly Andrew was her favorite child.
Right.
That's been
Right.
said. And many of his little stipends and privileges would have been cut off a long time ago if it hadn't been for the Queen. And I think King Charles, when he was prince, said that when he became king, he was definitely going to, quote unquote, streamline the royal family. And there were going to be members who were going to be cut, like Andrew, or their duties and responsibilities were going to be curtailed. So this was coming. But I wonder how much the Queen knew. Jane says, they say King Charles can't even tie his own shoes. We've heard that. Or get dressed by himself because he has to be waited on hand and foot since birth. There's stories about he doesn't even know how to squeeze toothpaste out of the tube. I've read that he has his shoelaces ironed, just weird little things. And, I saw one example when he first became king. The camera was running and he didn't know, and it caught him throwing a childish little tantrum. He couldn't get the cap off his fountain pen. I hate these bloody things. Do you remember that? It was like a little 3-year-old.
But I felt bad for him because he hadn't slept in days. His mother was dead, and he was.
Well, I factored that in.
Yeah. Michael Jackson. What do you think made him so crazy?
Oh my God, we could do a 2 or 3 hour show on that one. Oh God, I want to be careful here because it's a friend of mine. He's an author who wrote a book about Michael Jackson. And I've known him for over 35 years. And I actually knew about the Michael Jackson pedophilia scandal before it broke out through my friend, the author. But he got death threats from the Jackson family. That's why I'm not giving his name, but he got threats and he had to strike a lot of it out of his book. And he couldn't even talk about it in interviews, but he told me in private. And one of the observations he made to me, he said, because he's written other celebrity biographies, and he said, most celebrities, people want to vicariously be that celebrity. He said, Michael Jackson was the first person he had written about that nobody wanted to be. Like everybody intuitively was creeped out by him. But I think with Michael Jackson, it just goes back to just not having his childhood. We heard this about many child stars, and his story is very famous. He was working from the time he was 5 years old.
I know that somebody was interviewed to be his healer, his naturopath or something. And she had told her friend, I don't think she got the job, but she was in his presence. She was a pretty sensitive person, but she said her first thought when he sat across from her, he was emaciated, by the way. She said her first thought is when she looked at him was like, you're a drug addict. Like that was the first thing is I'm sitting there. All the fame and everything else aside, this guy's a drug addict.
You could see a lot.
And maybe that was why she didn't get the job. She was like, that guy's a drug addict.
Yeah.
So I think his dad had a lot of fame at an
early his father definitely.
Sexuality, he was stunted, he was a stunted guy.
Well, I had even heard theories that a lot of his plastic surgery was because he thought he looked too much like his father and he wanted to erase that from his face. That's where a lot of that came from. But I remember he gave an interview. I think it was that famous interview he gave to Martin Pasteur many years ago, where he said, "Oh, I never want to grow up. I want to be," basically he was saying he wanted to be Peter Pan. "Oh, I never want to grow up. I always want to stay a child." And this was when he was like in his 40s. Do you remember that? Yeah.
It's a little creepy.
It was very creepy. And then he pointed that out too. Yeah. We reveal ourselves in our language. Wendy Bird said, yes, the Queen knew. She took away a lot of his titles and paid Virginia around 14 million pounds.
That's a lot
settling out of court. She knew all right. Now, I knew she had taken away a lot of titles because I know she said, you're going to face this trial as a private citizen and not a royal. I remember reading that, but I didn't realize she had paid Virginia. Did you know that, Whimsy?
No, but I know that Virginia Giuffre could not handle the lawsuits because Ghislaine was going after her. and they were trying to terrorize her legally and threaten her legally, as if raping her wasn't trafficking her wasn't bad enough, and you go after her with, well, how slimy are you?
Yeah.
What a slimy person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was getting harassed, and she was also being threatened by Alan Dershowitz, who I guess was going to try and bankrupt her. I'm coming after you. What a creep. I'm being persecuted in Martha's Vineyard, he says. Nobody will be my friend in Martha's Vineyard. You think after you rape a kid who's trafficked, people, and this is just the one we know about, you think,
Right.
Mr. Dershowitz, that nobody wants to have anything to do with you? I mean,
Dershowitz, why does that sound so much like dirtbag? Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, before we close, as many of you know, we do like to look at UFO film footage. They say that film footage of UFOs is up, and that they don't know why, but the activity is through the roof. Why do you think that would be, Chuck?
I wondered about that. I could joke and say that they're coming here to rescue us, or they're coming here to observe all of this insanity. I don't know why it would be up.
Do you think it has anything to do with the fact that Trump is reopening the nuclear testing?
Oh, wow.
Because, well, the Nevada and Arizona desert happens to be where much of that nuclear testing has happened. So
yeah, I'm thinking of Roswell, New Mexico. And
yeah. Let's take a look, see what we find.
Y'all, November 2025 seems to be the month of UFO sightings because they're being seen everywhere. And I find that the most eerie, especially when you consider all the strange anomalous updates we're getting from 3i Atlas. We're starting with a strange UFO sighting that occurred just north of Scottsdale, Arizona. You're going to see these very strange lights in the sky that at first I was a little confused about, and I only grew even more confused and a little worried after a third light appeared out of nowhere. I mean, just in general, these lights don't make any sense. Take a look.
Wow.
But it gets even weirder because we have another sighting from Arizona just the day before, on the 15th of November 2025, and the lights look very similar.
Wonder if it's one craft.
It's hard to tell.
What is happening in Arizona?
What are you thinking, Chuck? I'm thinking nuclear testing. I'm thinking that, we are closer to a nuclear war historically than we have ever been. We've got a wingnut in the White House. He's talking about he's going to outcompete Putin. He's talking about more nukes. Is this a dangerous time for us? And is this the correlation we're seeing?
Well, it's like maybe they have a way of knowing that we're very close to potentially being annihilated. I mean, it's an obvious thing to say, but we've got a man with dementia, Alzheimer's. He's a lunatic, and he's got access to the nuclear codes. Supposedly, the button he can press himself at any time he wants. It's within his powers, commander-in-chief. It's a scary thing to have someone like that.
I think that they live here too. I think that there are cryptids and species that live here that are extremely advanced. They did not use their brains to develop more and more advanced weapons because they weren't focused on fighting. They were focused on cloaking. So if you're a species that's intelligent, that chooses not to go to war, but instead puts all of your sciences on cloaking, we see humans as dangerous. We're going to cloak. You guys are all crazy, and you've captured some of our people, and y'all tortured them. So my feeling is that if you were a species and you either evolved from, one of the theories of Homo glaucus is that it's just a hominid that went into the caves and said, forget this crap. We don't want to fight. We don't want to get eaten by leopards. We're going to live on green smoothies and
I know. We've talked about, and they love strawberries. They seem to be attracted to red things, but we've always got, when we've talked about this before, we've always gotten that these are benign creatures. They're very gentle. They're creatures of peace. They're even vegan. They don't harm
right. That's
anyone,
true.
So
except for there is a species that was taking the cattle mutilations.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But,
that was in Nevada, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
I remember you had a video
with the Greys. They don't
Skywalker Ranch. That's what it was.
Yeah, the Greys cannot chew meat. I mean, they just have a small mouth. Yeah. They lost their ability to chew because they live on swamp water. So they just suck. They suck.
Carolina, algae.
What did they suck plankton through a sieve, like they evolved a sieve system, they think. So they just would hunch down and drink and sift and eat the nutrients in the crustaceans in the and they say, according to what they can find out about their physiology, they require 800 kcal a day, which makes sense because they're the size of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And they're living on algae, basically.
Yeah. Well, we know from our nutritional background that blue-green algae are among the most perfect foods in the world. Nutritionally,
right.
Very easily assimilated in the body, bioavailability, very efficient foods.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring that if they are nonviolent cloaking, I don't know how long they've been on Earth, or if they were a natural evolution of a hominid ancestor. But the bottom line is that right now they're not eating meat. These species, they're living on swamp water and caves, and they're putting all of their attention and brains, since they're not at war. Most of our technology is war related. Missiles, all our technology goes heavily into defense. But if you're a cloaker, it would go into other things. You wouldn't have to be coming up with ways to kill another person because you've just left the building. You have left the trees. You can have the savanna, give it to the leopards. We're out. And so all of the technology and all of those brains that this hominid had went into advances like space travel.
Would you say they have super developed brains?
I think that just by choosing nonviolence, that frees them up to develop other technologies. Had we gone that route, we would be as advanced as they are. But we didn't. We got into war and violence and killing, eat or be eaten. And that takes up a tremendous amount of time. And they're free of that because they simply left. We're not eat or be eaten. We've got swamp water and technology and sciences, and they're probably drilling ore and doing all kinds of crazy stuff because they're free. They have no predators. And so if you have no predators and no competition, imagine what you can achieve. And that's basically the theory of Homo glaucus.
Yeah.
So into the caves, into the aquifers under the caves, into with algae. They come up. They do have more radiation exposure on re-entry. You get a lot of radiation exposure.
But algae will protect you there even.
Algae and bioflavonoids of fruit, which would be easy to chew if you didn't have developed.
And also they're very attracted to reds, like the specific phytonutrients in red things like strawberries.
Right. Pharyngeal filtration. That was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
The scientists now believe that they are, in fact, they're calling them a hominid species. The technical name for blues and grays, the tall ones and the short ones, is Homo glaucus, and they have Homo glaucus. The tall ones are called like Homo glaucus grande and Homo glaucus something else in Latin for large and short. And they say pharyngeal sieves. They have like these sieves inside, and when they drink, they're able to sift out the water and then hold on to the remnants and drink them.
It's like they biologically evolved to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think
evolution, I meant to say.
you know what that reminds me? I think that whales have a similar technology where they will drain the water and then they'll capture, and that's how they think that Homoglocus grays, the grays are eating.
Aren't whales considered among the oldest creatures on Earth?
Yeah.
Sharks.
Well, the oldest mammals.
Oldest mammals.
Because they have live birth.
Yeah. You know, while you were just saying all this, and this may be obvious because people here are already talking about transmitting Atlantis, that kind of communication. But I was just getting, when you talked about how they live very simple, pure lifestyles, the way they eat, they're excellent at channeling, receiving, because I was wondering how they're getting their information. They're channeling it from higher sources. That's what it seems like to me. They're very, very well equipped to do this.
So it goes back to why are they more active now in those areas where we have nuclear testing and nuclear sites in the desert?
Yeah.
Probably because they live here too, and they're not going to let us blow ourselves up, which I think there were a few people that said that.
Yeah.
That they felt that the reason that this was happening now was because of this whole crazy nuclear proliferation thing that Trump is talking about.
I'm even sensing like a higher love, like they have a love for humanity and for all of us in spite of ourselves. They love us and they want us to be saved and protected.
Mm-hmm.
They seem very peaceful creatures.
Yeah, and they say that most people, you know, if you live your life, there comes a certain point when you will see a UFO. Like so many Americans have seen, there's so much activity in America. And why do you think there's so much activity in America? Because we're a nuclear country.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I've ever consciously have seen a UFO. Have you, Whimsy? Or thought you might?
Yes, I grew up with an amazing UFO as a friend. Really? It was an unbelievable UFO and nobody seemed to be paying attention. It was like everybody was just like, huh? What? It was like really weird. It would come out at night in Portland, Oregon. It was a classic UFO saucer and it used to rotate like this.
Really?
And then it would rotate on its side. It would rotate. It would start off like this and then it would go on its side and then it would come back up and it would like hover over my house. And it was like a classic UFO. And I'm like, look, there's a UFO over my house. And people would say, yeah, you sure that's not some fancy blimp? Oh, that's just
not the Goodyear blimp.
I'm like, but it's saucer shaped and there's like rotating lights and it's going like this and it's going sideways. And it was every damn night. It would show up and like, hey, and I'd come out and be like, there's the UFO. And it was like anybody could see it. And I took my sister out. I'm like, why is nobody freaking out? There's a freaking UFO over our house. It was like they were all under hypnosis. My sister comes out and I'm like, look, a UFO. And she says, oh, it's probably just like they're selling Coca-Cola or something. It's a saucer floating. We didn't even have this technology in 1978 or whatever the main sighting was. And people were just like, oh, yeah, that's kind of a weird craft. Huh. Yeah. I've never seen a saucer floating in the air before. Well, what do you want? Pizza? It was really the reaction I got. It's like, am I the only one that can see a massive saucer above my house? It was the weirdest thing. Like nobody seemed to be. And then I went to school and I'm like, is anybody here?
My imaginary friend.
In Portland seeing the UFO I'm seeing? And people were like, there was a UFO out? I don't know, Tom.
It's like it was
weird. Nobody cared.
Yeah, it's like it was revealing itself just to you. And just the fact that you were not frightened by it, you felt good. You seemed like you felt good energy from it. You know,
I used to go out every night and say, take me with you. Get me away from this.
I think a lot of people are saying that now.
You know, in the summertime, Portland, Oregon, we sit out on our porches. People would even sleep out in the backyard. We'd picnic in the backyard or, you know, have sleep outs in our back. It was something people did a lot in the 70s and 80s. The kids got to take their sleeping bags and sleep in the backyard. So we would have camping in the backyard. This is back in the days when it was safe to do this with your kids. Now
I
there's
grew
no
up in
way I
that
would let
era
a
too.
kid do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and we would stay up under the stars. We're gonna sleep out in the back because it's like 100 degrees tonight. Yeah, yeah, okay, have your s'mores. Then we would do the s'mores, and we would like pretend we were on a camping trip, and we would see this UFO in our backyard. But yeah, I remember all summer long. I think it was like 19. I was maybe 14 years old. I think it was like 1978. It was absolutely craziest thing. But I've had close friends that are psychic, and they've scanned me, and they're like, before I told them the story, they were like, "Oh, you're an abductee." I'm like, "No, I'm an abductee. I don't remember anything like that. I was never abducted." They're like,
Maybe they
"Yeah,
erased your memory banks.
you were abducted. You're an abductee. You made contact." As somebody, a lot of people I know who are really into this, and they know this stuff, like they are contactees. You're a contactee too. I'm like, I don't think so. And then I was like, and then my friend had said, "Have you ever seen a UFO?" Well, the truth of the matter is I have. And then I told him the story. And he would say, "Well, what would you do after seeing this UFO?" I don't know. I would just spend time with it and watch it until like 2 a.m. and then go back into my place. Like, do you remember what happened during that 4-hour period? It's like, not really. I would just go out every night, say hi to this UFO. And then sometime around 2 a.m, you're an abductee, Whimsy. I have no memories other than seeing the craft, thinking it's really cool. And then it would be like 2 a.m. and I'd go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. What was it, about
Obviously
a year?
an abductee. And the guy knew, and he was like, "You're an abductee."
Yeah, because it was like a year ago we did a book, an author interview with a man who wrote about UFOs and about how there are people who psychically communicate through telepathy with the UFOs. And I'm wondering if you were doing that.
I have no idea, but it definitely happened, and I have no memory of what happened after. I would just walk out and go, "It's out again," and it became like my friend. And it was so it would go. The sun would go down at 10 o'clock at night because we're in the Pacific Northwest. So in August the sun goes down at 10 o'clock at night. So I'd be allowed to, if the parents can see you, there was an open lot where I could roller skate. So it's like, it's 10 o'clock at night. It's bright. I could go out. It's like, if we can see you in the lot, you're fine. It's like, how terrifying today, right? You got a 10, 11-year-old kid, or, you go and then the kid's missing. Can you imagine the horror?
I know.
Like, we were so trusting in those days.
Oh my God. When I used to go trick-or-treating as a 6 or 7-year-old, we didn't have parents walking with us or adults. We just went out there in the dark and went house to house in our little costumes, and we never feared for a thing.
Yeah, and my big sister used to watch me, and she lived upstairs, and she would look out the window and watch me. And it's like, "Where's Whimsy?" She's across. I can see her out the window. She's skating, and I would just be skating out there for like whatever. But sometimes on weekends, if it was because there was no school, I'd be out there till 2 in the freaking morning skating.
Well, now that I remember,
it would only get to be like 80, 85 degrees at night. Nobody cared, and it's like,
I grew up like that. I'm remembering now where it would be after dark and we'd still be out with our bicycles and still out playing and stuff, and it was just nothing.
Yeah, in the summer, and that's when we had made some type of contact with these things that would show up late at night in Portland.
But I think you were picking up on kind, loving energy. The fact that it was so happy to you. You obviously were.
Yeah, I wasn't scared. And I was like, "Oh, they're out here again. Hi." Yeah. I would wave at the saucer. "Hello, can you see me down here?" They're coming right up. They're coming
E.T.
Just 4 hours later, "I think I'll go back in now." "Where have you been?" "I don't know. I was just staring at that." That was 4 hours ago. And I had a couple times where I'd come back and, "Where the hell have you been?" "I was skating." Yeah, that was 4 hours ago. I really like skating. Right.
You had a comment just before this. Someone was saying about whales and octopus. What's the plural of octopus?
Octopi.
Octopi. Okay. How they may have been put here by aliens. I just want to say very quickly, did you ever see a documentary on Netflix, My Octopus Friend?
I heard about it.
I think it would make me cry
because it dies, doesn't it? I can't see an animal die.
Yeah, but it's a beautifully made documentary because they point out how incredibly intelligent this octopus is and how the octopus has a personality. And this man goes scuba diving almost on a daily basis to go visit the octopus, and the octopus recognizes him, remembers him. holds on to a finger with one of the tentacles. It was just
Oh my
beautiful.
God.
It's a beautiful documentary. One,
Well,
I
I'm
think it
wondering
won
if
the
I
Oscar.
ever have, I imagine if they do a full body scan on me, they will find the chip in me, because it's definitely something that happened, and it definitely went on for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But I have no memory of what happened other than seeing them, feeling excited, waving at the craft, and then a couple hours later I was going back in my house. You would think that this would be like a big deal and that I would like need counseling or need to talk to somebody about it. But it was like just telling a friend was in Pasteur, oh yeah, there was a UFO. I used to hang out by my house. And then it starts to dawn on me, like, because I do this for a living, I study this stuff. And this is like thinking, oh, I think I'm an abductee. Oh yeah, so my friend Joel was like, I think you're an abductee. Isn't that crazy? What about you, Chuck? Do you think that it might have happened to you?
I don't think it's ever happened to me. I'm certainly not going to rule it out, but I have, like I said earlier, I just don't have any conscious awareness of having ever seen a UFO. I'd certainly be open to it. I'd like to, but I don't have a conscious awareness of it. I think that's why I'd asked you. And then you started telling your fabulous story.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule anything out, but I don't think I've been abducted. I don't think I have. Some would say otherwise, but
now I've heard about UFOs in Nebraska, the cornfields.
oh yeah, you mean with the
Do you think that's fuel? I don't think they can eat corn. I don't think that they have teeth. They would be able to eat corn. So the only reason that they would be taking corn would be biofuel. But
that's a good point.
Nebraska has had some ET with their cornfields and stuff.
That's right, because you can make fuel from corn.
So why? What do you think that they were interested in our cornfields for? What was that about?
That's the only thing I can possibly think of, taking it for fuel. That's the only thing that comes to mind. And of course, we've all seen those intricate crop patterns, where there those mosaics and designs, that look like they were made by higher beings.
Do you know they're now from the report I got? I published the report so people could read it. Grok, that it's an open file, that they've actually started an open file, I guess through Avi Loeb, through Harvard, about homoglockus. But now they're talking about creating bait, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Going to certain areas, like some of these underwater, there's caves near the ocean is where they think a lot of these craft are a lot of these bases are. And they're saying bring bait. And so bait would be, you go out and you're camping and you bring up a bunch of things they will like leave a can of green smoothies or strawberries out. But I don't know if I totally like this idea of tricking and baiting. And what are you going to do? Capture them and torture them? I
almost sense that they're too smart to be baited. Like they know. That's just the hit I get.
Yeah,
they're too sophisticated to fall for traps.
Sounds like a nightmare. Sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
All right, my loves. I think we're going to go ahead and finish up. What a fun day it was today. We never got to the DC pastor. One of the things that people had asked us about, and I did put it up here because I get comments from all of you, is Trump's pastor was arrested for pedophilia. Did you know about that?
No, I did not know that. When was this announced?
Today. He was the woman who claimed he molested her as a child. I don't know if she was there when he was arrested and drug out of the church, but
yeah, I want to read more about that. When we finish the show, I'm going to look that up.
So pastor arrested for pedophilia. He was evidently one of Trump's spiritual advisors.
God.
Palm Beach County arrested a pastor. Yeah, so it might be it's supposed to have happened today. I think in the last 24 hours.
Oh, God.
But I guess the woman who, so the thing is that the preacher involved was one of Trump's advisors. So I just think that that's beyond crazy.
That is.
I don't,
so to speak,
But I don't think that you can say it's Trump's fault. Robert Morris, yeah. He must, I guess, this happened October 2nd, but the big thing is that I guess there was some kind of thing that happened. I guess he was convicted or something, but he was with the Gateway Church. Robert Morris pled guilty October 2nd. Yeah. But I don't know why it came up today, but I saw it today.
I'm gonna look for that story.
And I think it's just because there must have been something recently about it. But yeah, I guess he pled guilty. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Chuck, how do people reach you if they need to get a reading with you?
Okay, how do they reach me? It's just my name. I think you can see it there on the screen, or it's covered up right now by Joel Tilson's comment, but it's dransfieldchuck@gmail.com. You can contact me if you'd like a reading. You'd like me to do artwork for you, do a portrait. I'm very good at channeling messages from subjects that I work with for my artwork. I've even done pet portraits, and I've received messages. And of course, you can always find me on Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, my channel. And I have a little tiny chat show on Mondays called Chuck's Captivating Chat, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. And if you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can either contact Chuck or you can book me through Booksy. And all that information is below this video. I, of course, will be away for a couple of weeks. I'll be in Colombia. I will try and get on, let people know how I'm doing. I have a red eye to Miami tonight.
You're leaving tonight? Yes.
Yeah, tonight. So, but I will take lots of pictures. And Chuck, you have a week off to enjoy yourself.
Okay. But I will definitely take calls for you if anybody wants to book appointments for Whimsy. I am her real life assistant outside of this show. Many of you
nice guy.
Well, I love working for you, Whimsy.
Thank you.
I love doing this with you too. It's a great privilege and honor.
Well, we appreciate you. All right, everyone, we're out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.